So, meeting life's challenges, the Unitarian Universalist's response. Who amongst us hasn't had serious life challenges and fears of other challenges? Deaths of loved ones, serious illnesses, abuses, financial difficulties, divorce, employment issues, and more. Michelle Obama, in The Light We Carry, writes, jeopardy is woven into the experience of being human, regardless of who you are, what you look like, or where you live. In the book, Learning to Fall, The Blessings of an Imperfect Life, Philip Simmons writes, we have all suffered and will suffer our own falls. The fall from youthful ideals, the waning of physical strength, the failure of a cherished hope, the loss of our near and dear, the fall into injury or sickness, and the late or soon, the fall to our certain ends. We have no choice but to fall, and little say as to the time or the means. The topic for today's service emerged from a major challenge. My current major life challenge is my son-in-law's Beau's diagnosis of ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, an incurable, deadly disease that progresses quickly for most victims, but slowly for 15 to 20% of those diagnosed. At first, along with Beau and his wife, my daughter Sibel, who are the parents of 2 teenage daughters, I hoped that Beau's leg weakness was a passing problem that would be remedied with the doctor's treatment. A pain doctor recommended by his physician made a quick diagnosis of ALS following the first of 3 MGs, which are electromyographies. Then, when Beau's neurologist thought the pain doctor was wrong and he performed a second EMG, he said Beau had a neuromuscular disease, not ALS, but perhaps inclusion body myositis, a serious ailment, but not deadly, and we were heartened. Seeking a definitive diagnosis, Beau was sent to Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York City by his neurologist. The third EMG, interpreted by a top neurologist, confirmed ALS. Then we grieved, knowing that Beau's life would be dramatically shortened. Now we are at the point of acceptance and hoping and praying that the disease will progress very slowly, while Beau tries to live life somewhat normally. When challenges come in clusters, I think about the biblical Job, that comic schlemazel who has the misfortune of being around when God, on a sort of dare from Satan, decides to test a good man's faith. Job is an upright and righteous man, yet his children are killed, his worldly goods destroyed, and he is afflicted with tormenting body sores. Job's wife tells him to curse God and die. But rather than cursing God, Job asks, shall we receive good at the hand of God and not receive bad? Yikes, what a question. But we know we are mistaken to expect only sweetness and harmony in life. Job knows that God is the God of good and evil, light and darkness, sweet and bitter, harmony and discord. Hindus embody this truth in the god Shiva, who both creates and destroys. The Quran teaches there is nothing that is not from God, that everything, birth and death, joy and suffering, the green spurt of youth and the slow decay of age, bread and excrement, our sweet singing and our cries of agony, all of it is from God. Throughout this talk, I will use the term God. As Annie Lamott says, if the word God is too triggering or ludicrous a concept for you, say to the good, the force that is beyond our comprehension, but that in our pain or supplication or relief, we don't need to define or have proof of for any established contact with. Let's say it is what the Greeks call the really real, what lies within us, beyond the scrim of our values, positions, convictions, and wounds. Or let's say it's a cry from deep within to life or love with capital L's. Nothing can matter less than what we call this force. For convenience, Lamott uses the word God. She says she knows some believers who call God Howard, as in, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Getting back to challenges or troubles, some people believe that when one is afflicted with troubles, it must be because of some wrongdoing, and that person is being punished. They choose to believe that if you are righteous, often meaning Christian, you will have a life full of riches and good fortune. Dante Alighieri, the Italian poet and author of the Divine Comedy, is like Job, traveling through the inferno to reach paradise. The Sufi poet Rumi also poetically expresses his view of life's journey. He writes, "Be a full bucket, drawn up the dark way of a well, then lifted out into the light." It is foolish to expect life to be easy, and I doubt if any of us have this expectation after being seasoned by life. We might wish for an easier life, but we know from our life experience that life is a complex journey. In The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck, he writes, those expecting life to be easy voice their belief that their difficulties represent a unique kind of affliction that should not be, and that has somehow been especially visited upon them, or else upon their family, their tribe, their class, their nation, their race, or even their species, and not upon others. Confronting and solving problems or challenges is a painful process. Problems evoke in us frustration or grief or sadness or loneliness or guilt or regret or anger or fear or anguish or despair. And since life poses an endless series of problems, life is always difficult and is full of pain as well as joy. We grow mentally and spiritually by resolving problems. Benjamin Franklin said, "Those things that hurt instruct." Trying to ignore problems is counterproductive and harms us in the end. According to Carl Jung, neuroses is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. Thich Nhat Hanh, in his book Being Peace, reminds us life is filled with suffering, but it is also filled with many wonders, such as the blue sky, the sunshine, and the eyes of a baby. To suffer is not enough. We must also be in touch with the wonders of life. They are within us and all around us, everywhere, anytime. It would be a pity if we were only aware of suffering. Along with the poet E.E. Cummings, in a reflection on spring, we can celebrate the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue, true dream of sky. When my journey is interrupted by a major challenge, I pray. I have a prayer box on a table in the bedroom, and I write down my prayer as well as praying during the day and at night. My first tool for dealing with life's challenges is prayer. Annie Lamott writes about prayer in a way that can appeal to anyone. In a book about prayer, she writes that help, thanks, and wow are the three essential prayers. Help, thanks, and wow. This is also the title of her book on prayer. Lamott writes that she doesn't mean what TV Christians are talking about. She says it is not for display purposes, like plastic sushi or neon. It is communication from the heart to God, or the force that is beyond our comprehension. Lamott always writes about serious matters with wit. She suggests that we not get bogged down on whom or what we pray to. She says prayer is communication from our hearts to the great mystery. She cites E.E. Cummings, who says prayer is reaching out to something having to do with the eternal, with vitality, intelligence, kindness, even when we are at our most utterly doomed and skeptical. A second way that I meet life challenges is by going to books in my vast collection, including Being Peace by Thich Nhat Hanh, the Bible, books by contemporary authors such as Michelle Obama's The Light We Carry, Annie Lamott's numerous books, including Dusk, Night, Dawn on Revival and Courage, and so much more. While writing this, I realized that I approach a life challenge in ways that are similar to the way I prepare a service, with a stack of books on the table next to my laptop. But what other tools can we use to help us meet and deal with life's challenges? With this question in mind, knowing that my typical response might not be adequate for others or even for me, I began to research. I found numerous tools and suggestions, including the following. Feel your feelings. Meditate, write. Both meditation and writing help me, whether it is participating in Reverend Sonia's Tuesday meditations or daily writing in my journal. A book titled My Journal, My Prayer has inspired me. Accept that the challenge is happening. We can't hide from or deny a life's challenge. We have to accept that it is real. Evaluate the facts. Depending on the challenge, this might include research or writing down what we know about the challenge. Find more information. Perhaps we can talk with others to gather more information. Have time alone to refresh and recharge your mind. For some, alone time can be helpful and can relax our racing minds and soothe our anxieties. Make a plan. Look at the patterns in your life and see what challenges you struggled with in the past. What did you do then? Know you are not alone. No matter what the challenge, others have faced this challenge too. Ask for help. Asking for help is hard for some people, especially if you are used to being the strong one. Reaching out to community, including family, friends, congregation. Perhaps seeking the expertise of healthcare workers or professionals in the field that matches your challenge. Accept support. When support is offered, put pride or hesitancy aside and welcome it. Work to develop a positive mindset. If you are inclined to be negative, this might require a lot of effort and work. Turn to humor for diversion and relief. There are health benefits from laughter. We feel better when we laugh. During a recent phone call, I told my brother about a heart issue that I am facing. After first freaking out, he concluded our conversation by saying, "Have a heart." This struck me so funny, and I laughed out loud. Don't give up. It is probably obvious that this is so important. And communicate, communicate, communicate. When I thought about our Unitarian Universalist 8 principles, I concluded that the most significant one when facing life's challenge is the first. Remember your inherent worth and dignity. After sharing the topic of today's service with a friend, she asked me, "So what is the response to dealing with life's challenges?" In conclusion, in my list of responses or tools for facing life challenges, I would highlight 3. Prayer in the most inclusive and diverse meaning of the word, community, and communication. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video.